If you love mountaineering and love a good story, you might want to check out this. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I have in my hands here a very big, almost like a book. It's a magazine, I think, but I did not know this company existed. First of all, I love the great outdoors. I wish I got to spend more time out there. Hey, if you've got a place out in the mountains, give me a call. Let's spend a weekend together and do a little camping and coffeeing. And one of the things that I have always loved is, ever since I was a kid, was heading out to the Colorado mountains and loved the movie Aspen Extreme from the 80s. Did you ever see that with Finola Hughes? Oh my gosh. When the main character dumped her, dude, I was just like beside myself. But I did not know this thing existed. This is called Mountain Gazette, and it says 201. Mountain Gazette has been a magazine for enthusiasts for apparently many years. And then I think it went defunct long before I had ever heard of them. And then this company bought the remnants of it and kind of fired up Mountain Gazette again. And they have just kind of picked up where Mountain Gazette left off. So I think the numbers here all continue to flow, even though there may have been like 10, 15, 20-year gap since the last Mountain Gazette came out. Now, I actually think they had issue 200, and I didn't get in on that in time. And what I think they do is they do a printing for as many subscribers as they have. So this is not something that you can go to Barnes & Noble and pick up. You're not going to see it on newsstands. They don't have extra copies, so you can't go to the website and just order the one copy. You do have to subscribe. Not super cheap, but this is a pretty hefty looking magazine. Now, I want to show you that with my subscription, I got this bumper sticker that said go higher and this bookmark here so that I guess I can pick up wherever I leave off in the magazine. But I have not even opened this up. I haven't peeked inside it. It's supposed to be, I think, stories. It's not just like an advertisement. It's supposed to be real stories about mountaineering or outdoor exploration or enjoying the great outdoors or whatever it is. So I kind of want to flip through it and discover what it's about with you. All right. So here is Mountain Gazette. I don't know if this is going to show everything. I've gone ahead and switched over to wide angle or fisheye lens here because the thing is pretty massive. So the first thing I want to do here is just rotate it open to the very first page. Oh, what you can see is Jackson Hole summer starts here. So we do have some advertisements, jacksonhole.com. And I've only been to Jackson Hole once, which is actually Jackson, Wyoming, and the hole is kind of like the ski area, I guess. But I would love to go back there. Golly, man, just some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Oh, look at this. Green, blue, black diamond, snowbird. So we get some advertisements here. It's kind of interesting to be opening a book or magazine of this huge format. It is really immersive. I mean, here are my hands. This thing is like none other. If you were sitting on a couch with a cup of coffee in your hand, looking at this, you get so much more, especially if you're used to using an iPad or an iPad mini or even a laptop. It's just totally different experience. You probably can't see all the stuff down here. We've got this row of pictures down here. Golly, it's pretty cool. So I know you're getting robbed a little bit, even with my fisheye lens on here. Okay, so lots of ads. I didn't realize there were going to be so many, but that's cool. I mean, they've got some beautiful photography. And then here is the table of contents. So we get editor's letter, gallery, looks like some articles here, another man's treasure. Why did you hike the Appalachian Trail? That would be an article that I would zoom in on right away because I would probably love to do the whole Appalachian Trail. That will never happen, but I would love to do a part of it. A buddy of mine growing up, Neil York, he was my best friend in grade school all the way up to 8th grade. Then we went to different high schools, but, still kept in touch. We don't keep in touch as much, living in different states and all. But one of the things that we both talked about numerous times growing up is that sometime before we die, we would get together, catch up, and do parts of the Appalachian Trail. And I'm still holding him to that. So Neil, if you're watching, brother, I still want to get out there with you. Bring your son. Let's do that. I mean, I just would love to see some of that country. But pop out history, Gallery de Bears, so camping trip, American Beauty, the Yellowstone, Mountain Notebook. So just so much stuff. Paddling the Chicago River. So I'm here in the Midwest. That's something that I could do. And what I would say is that the paper is kind of thin, but it's not like glossy magazine paper. It's like a matte finish. So it has, to me, a more premium and heavier feel, even though it's not super heavy. One of the things that's maybe a little bit of an illusion is because of how big the paper is. You can see it's still pretty stiff. So it's probably much heavier than a magazine paper, but it feels still pretty thin just because of how big the overall book is. But look at this. I mean, just some amazing shots here. You could flip through this. Golly, it does make you feel like you're back on a hike. So why did you hike the Appalachian Trail? This is the article that I am looking at. It is by Gary Rain Dog DeHart, and looks like an affable guy. We probably get along just fine on the trail. Oh, looks like some of these other people here, Gabby, Brianna. You know, what I realize is that it's not just one person's story. These are kind of snippets from different people on the trail. How cool is that? See, look at this. Sorry. So this is Wilson. And what I realize here is that you see it says Flash, Rebel Yell. I think on the Appalachian Trail, you're supposed to all get a trail name, a nature name, right? An outdoor name. So that's where those come from. Hiking the Appalachian Trail has been a dream for probably 8 or 9 years. I know. I hear you, brother. So just so cool is that. There's so many different faces and probably people from all walks of life. So pretty cool. 5 million steps. Looks like this is a poem written by this gentleman, Fred Santiago Jolly, moments after summiting Mount Katahdin and completing a through hike of the Appalachian Trail. His wife hiked with him and delivered several cards that have been filled out by friends and loved ones for him to open once he finished. So looks like he wrote a poem here about his experiences. So I think it's like the art, the beauty, the scenery, and also the different narratives that come with some of these outdoor adventures, man. It's kind of funny because I love the big format of this, obviously for the pictures and art. I don't know that it's going to be the easiest thing in the world to hold and actually read. You know, if you're just going to hold something in your hands and read it, you actually want it to be pretty small and light. But yeah, this is pretty immersive. But I think the way to read this would be to put it on a table, go out, sit on your patio, overlooking your lake or your mountains, and have your cup of coffee and just kind of sit in your favorite chair and have this supported by a table and read it, because it's not something that you're just going to lean back in your recliner and just hold in your hands. But look at all this stuff. I mean, different types, obviously the black and white, sepia, pop art history. Look at this. So get some comics there. Duh Bears right there. Not the terrible, awful Chicago Bears, but actual real life menacing and actually competitive bears. And Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. Oh man, that's a place I'd love to go. The spot. Campfire Wisdom in the Arctic Refuge. So just some more articles. I think the experiences feel like some of this stuff could be turned into video and shared with more people. Obviously the written word is pretty awesome, but you know, to have some of these images just rotating through a montage and having the text of the article and the poems being read as narration over them would probably be amazing. Lots of beautiful art here. Camping trip. That looks a little bit more like a Woodstock or festival. Look at this. How cool is that? It's like a little community set up in the middle of the mountains there. Always kind of wanted one of these like wanderer vans. Obviously like the Earth Roamers and stuff like that are pretty awesome. Super expensive. Oh man. The strange and spirited surfing of Lake Tahoe. That is a really cool, fascinating place. Obviously it's beautiful, but cold, deep waters. I think that's one of the things that's most impressive about Lake Tahoe to me is how deep it is. Most people don't realize some of the deepest water really anywhere in the country. No permission needed. Desert Days, the first ever women's mountain bike gathering in southern Utah. Huh. Interesting. Bike gathering out on the dirt like that. That would certainly be cool. Man, I tell you what, I'm getting a reveal here. I'm trying to save some money between now and hopefully the near future, because I would love to get a project truck and make an overlander. Kind of one of those things that I think is a good compromise. You like camping, but I don't want to pack up stuff all the time, put it away, pack it up again. You know, having to do all that, I think actually prevents me and a lot of people like me with limited time to actually go out and make the most of the outdoors. But if you can put together even a cheap little overlander that has all your stuff, so all you got to do is jump in your car, grab your coffee, and head out and start enjoying. Have a raft or a kayak, something like that attached to it. Man, I think you'd get out there and explore and enjoy a little more often. So obviously don't want to sink money into it that I don't have, but want to look for a cheap, good condition, decently capable off-road car, put maybe a rooftop camper on it and start going out and just seeing some of America, work from the road a little bit, breathe in some of that fresh mountain air and beautiful photography. So it's not just all about the outdoors. It's about the lifestyle and the people. And this one is interesting because, like I said, right in my backyard here, kayaking the Chicago River, there it is, right through the downtown area and the loop. Yeah, be interesting to read this one. But, everything from the food and the solitude. And I think just being in a place where you're not inundated or overwhelmed by all the information, being out on your own, that's when the creativity flows. That's when inspiration flows. Man, I've had my best ideas come to me while I'm just taking a walk or a bike ride or on a road trip, getting windshield time, right? Sometimes you just get those ideas in silence, the inspiration, the thoughts out that you don't necessarily get when you are stuck in the day-to-day, the rat race. Yellowstone, are private ski areas net positive or negative for mountain communities? Great question. Great question. I know, but man, I do love skiing. Wish I could do it more often. Wish I could do harder hills than I do now, but some of that stuff is behind me now. But man, just so cool. Just to do some of the stuff, get a little taste of it, not necessarily be as hardcore as maybe I was as a young man, but to see some of the stuff. So this is your look at it, because I think so many people have been so curious about this magazine and the contributors, and yet have a hard time getting their hands on it. And, if you're going to subscribe to something like this, I can't remember if it was 100 or 140 or something like that to subscribe. It's not inexpensive. And I want to say it only comes out once a quarter. Unfortunately, not something that I think a lot of people would just subscribe to on a whim, but it's certainly pretty cool. I want to keep this in nice shape. I would love to put this on my coffee table so that other people who have an appreciation for the outdoors can probably flip through it and just be mesmerized and intrigued and maybe inspired for a while. But I wanted to give you a close look at it. Obviously, we didn't get to see everything, and you're kind of missing the top and the bottom in many cases here. But I know a lot of people have wanted to check this out, like me. And so there's your sneak peek at the Mountain Gazette. If you want to pick it up, I'll put a link to it in the description. Peter Von Panda, out.